Yeah, AJ, but I sort of throw that out the fucking door. I don't like throwaway comments like that. You want to make every opinion meaningless, or like, well, your opinions really don't matter because it's just all taken care. It ends up defending liars and people with deceitful agendas and everything else. So I don't, I don't buy throwaway language. Nothing personal there. Love you and all, but that's just nope. Opinions are very credible. Takes on the hobby are very credible, and our hobby takes a lot of damage, ends up with negativity where other hobbies actually don't do what you're suggesting. They actually say certain opinions do matter, standards do matter, and when applied, you evolve things, you better the communities, you better the people in the communities, you better what's going on. So when you dismiss my only argument to people is when you dismiss opinions like, oh, all this doesn't matter. I mean, boom, boom. It's like to me, I look at the effects because in the other hobbies where people have standards or pushes, it's all good. In our hobby, player base gets worse, things get worse. And I say there's nothing wrong with saying, look, if you have an opinion, think that matters. If somebody thinks it doesn't, let's have the debate. Let's have the structured conversation. If you think there's a standard that fits, you should be able to make your case, and other people should have to make the argument. And for those who say they don't care, my only thing to them right away is, well, then sit that one out. But if you don't care, then you shouldn't say anything. If you do care, but you're saying you don't care, the second you say something in one direction, you've given yourself away. You do care, obviously, or you would have shut your mouth to begin with, right? You've just given yourself away. It does matter to you. And that means there is something you're trying to protect or a position you're trying to protect. Well, if that's the case, debate it. Bring that argument forward. We have the open square of ideas for ideas. And if maybe the hobby should have a standard, and maybe that should be the thing. It's like, well, you can say it doesn't, but who says it doesn't? Are you the authority? Was Gary Gygax the authority? Who's the authority to say if we have it everywhere? What god of the tabletop role-playing game hobby came down and made the rules for us? I want to know which one. So I would say right away to people, if we don't have an authority figure saying what this is, then people should be able to make an argument. Things should be able to set. And wherever the crowd wants to lean into or think is right, people should be able to set a standard or try to or attempt to. Nobody has the right to say all this doesn't matter because we have nobody overruling this hobby saying there's a place for everything. Maybe there isn't, AJ. And I'm not saying that against you. I'm saying that against a lot of people that think in that way of this sort of neutral, all these places. Well, who said that? Who makes up the rules? Nobody. So for us to establish what something is, if that's going to be established, let it be established through honest conversation, debate, pushing it forward. What I would say is let people have the discussions, because a lot of this dismissive language, AJ, what it does, it just cuts down the discussions. So what if there should be a standard? What if having a standard would be better for the hobby? What if that would be a better thing? Well, what do you do if you dismiss it? Somebody trying to have the discussion when we haven't had it for 50 years. See, I say here's my problem with certain people, AJ, is for 50 years, the people that say everything doesn't matter, they have won, and not won in a way that's fair or well established. They haven't had to debate. They haven't had to make a fucking argument for their position. It's a very simple-minded and throwaway. And they won for 50 years, and I see our army has been harmed, not evolved, harmed for 50 years. And we're both old school guys. We know the quality of people, gaming, and everything else from the old school compared to now. And we know it was better back then. That's not even debatable. That's not even slightly debatable. So things have gotten worse and gotten worse and gotten worse and gotten worse. And we don't see where it's getting better and better. It's like just because you bring more people in, that doesn't make a hobby better. It makes WotC more money. It doesn't make our gaming better. And it should matter to us because we're the ones who have to go to the table and game with people, right? And I say to people that might have a good situation, don't be so shallow, like as if you're the only people that matter in the hobby. You might have a good table right now, but a lot of other people don't. And we share this hobby with a lot of people. So we can't be selfish and say, well, our situation's good, so it doesn't matter. That's not how this works. It has to be open to discussion. And if we're going to set the standard, that nothing matters, let it be argued, because nobody has challenged that. That's the issue with me, is every time somebody says, oh, it has a place for everything. Does it? I mean, we get to sports. What about like a jumping around with a stick up your ass? Is there a place for that sport? Not really. There's a standard. You go over to video games. Well, what about one where it just goes on, does like bink, 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 and you press the button? Is that a game anymore? No. No longer these things. I mean, at a certain stage, you got to go, is there a standard for what the game is? And if the game is nothing, it becomes everything it's not. And it gets to a point where I've seen storytellers where it's like, just you're not even playing the game anymore, dude. Just here's the pen and paper. Go write your story. Put the dice away. Don't even bother. Or it gets to the point where people are performing, where they're acting, amateur actors doing sessions where they're not rolling dice. I'm like, that's not a game. You're doing drama class. Go on the stage. Have at it, baby. Or it gets to the point where people are literally trying to play a whole war game with D&D where it's like, well, don't bother. We got war games. Here's your war game. Go play the war game. I mean, tabletop role-playing games are meant to be something separate and different. They are. There's an intention behind them. From every designer coming in, on some level, there's an intention. Well, what is that? Well, we never had that discussion properly. And it's like, the reason we don't ever have the discussion properly is because people will come in language, well, it doesn't matter, everything is accepted here. Well, it's like, okay, well, then a tabletop role-playing game is me bouncing a fucking tennis ball off the wall. And you'll be like, well, that's not, no. It is. It is. As long as I say it is, because we say everything's a tabletop role-playing game, then me bouncing a tennis ball off the wall is now a tabletop role-playing game. Right? So we should have standards if that's not it, but that means there's other things that aren't it, or other ways of looking at it. It's healthy to have the discussion. It is not healthy to avoid it. It's not good for our hobby to avoid the discussion. It doesn't mean some extreme opinion is going to end up being right, but it furthers the dialogue and the hobby to have discussions and debates, not reasons to not have them. And we've spent 50 years successfully not having them. So as someone who cares about the hobby, which I tell other people they don't need to, but I do, and so I come to the open square of ideas when it comes to the tabletop role-playing game hobby. And I say, I won't let anybody diminish what I have to say. So if I think this is what a tabletop role-playing game is, and you say, well, anything fits. Well, no, that's what I'm arguing against. I'm saying, no, not everything fits. The tennis ball being bounced off the wall is not a tabletop role-playing game. So I'm making a case, and people should consider the case I'm making, not dismiss it. But here's how they dismiss it. It's something most people can't. I'll make great arguments. 99.9.9.9% of people couldn't argue if their fucking life depended on it. They have no thoughts. They don't even consider this stuff. They dismiss. Well, anything fits, so don't have to. No, because if you have to consider my argument, the worst thing is I might have a point. That's the thing. I might have a point, right? And that point can be very important to the hobby and progressing what we do. It could be good. I could be right. And there's nothing wrong with asking people to consider if I'm right or not right. It's nothing wrong with having the discussion and the debate. Good evening there, Black Rose. And I'm not going just after you, AJ. I'm just going after anybody, right? Oh, I know lots of people that do the research, but it's like, we know lots of things about the hobby. But so many people assume it's like, let's have a discussion. These discussions have not been had because people have dismissive language, dismissive ways of looking at the hobby. Well, it's like, it starts becoming ridiculous when I make the point back to them. If anything fits, me throwing a tennis ball off the wall and calling it a tabletop role-playing game fits. And what are you going to say, that it doesn't? What I'm trying to do is showing you an example of just how ridiculous the take of anything fits here as a tabletop role-playing game is a ridiculous point of view. Not everything does. And that means there's some games out here, their approach does not fit exactly what we're after here or what this is. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to make the argument or have a deep discussion about these things. It is okay. It's actually okay. It's okay. We have no leaders that decide what things are. So we as a community decide things together. But how can we decide things together if we can't even talk about it? And who made who God and said that everything is a tabletop role-playing game? Nobody has. That's a small minority of people that just say that it is, and they get no pushback. Because it's a way, because there's so many people in here with deceitful agendas, lies, and everything else. And you know what? They use that. When they lie, when they come here with deceitful agendas, the way they protect themselves is by saying anything said against them doesn't matter. So they use these type of concepts to defend their asses. And then there's no pushback on things that just hold no water. It's like calling D&D a war game. There's no debate about this. It's not. It's not even a maybe. It's something other than a war game. Like, we know what wargaming is. Wargaming is established. We know exactly what it is. Even if you use elements from it, this is not a war game. Shouldn't even have to have that debate. But people bullshit here. And what they do is when a guy like me pushes back, instead of people calling them out, I'll be the one that has to hear, well, everyone has a place in that. Well, then, okay, tennis ball off the wall. That's a tabletop role-playing game. That's what tabletop role-playing games are. Tennis balls off walls. You going to say I'm wrong? We can say D&D is a war game. We can say bouncing a tennis ball off the wall is a pure, true tabletop role-playing game. It's okay to have the discussions, and I'm passionate about it. I don't expect other people to be, but it's like people that love anything. You choose your battles. You choose what you care about. I choose to care about this, of course. If you don't care, I can understand why you might see me as ridiculous. But if you do care, that means you'll speak up against me, and that gives people away. Because the people that don't care, sit down and shut their mouth. The people that do care, and a lot of them will pretend not to, they'll be like, I don't care, but then they'll get up and speak, but only in one direction, not the other. Well, I'm like, well, dude, that means you do care. You can say you don't care, but your action gives away that you care about this. But that means you care about one side and not the other, right? Oh, James Ragey is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. James Ragey, Lamentations of the Flame, Princess, OSR. I know you'll appreciate that. And I hope you don't take anything I'm saying here personally. It's not just you. I keep pointing that out. I've heard other people make those arguments, so I don't want just AJ to feel like it's AJ focus. I'm trying to generalize it, but I'm showing my passion at the same time. I hope you don't take it as a personal. It really is not personal, AJ. I like you a lot. I mean, legit respect you. Game designer guy, YouTuber. I have a lot of deep respect for you. A lot of deep respect. That's why I came to you and asked you about the interview when I seen you coming on here. I knew exactly who you were. I've known you for years. So I hope you don't walk away with thinking anything other than Stephen has the greatest respect for me on here as somebody in the hobby. I take you very serious and really learned a lot more about you during the interview. So I really appreciate a lot more about you now, but I just understand that. And it's not just you. And I'd love to have the discussion, not as an attack or boom. I'm showing you passion, not hate or anything. So I just hope you take it from there, right?